What's up YouTube, Capital G here. We're talking CROS in this video, and more specifically Ghost, Ogre, and Snow Rabbit. And you can call it Yuki Usagi, or every time I say the TCG name, you can just picture the OCG name. Honestly, I like to interchange them, to be honest. Like sometimes I'll say Ghost, Ogre, Snow Rabbit, and sometimes I'll say the OCG name. But as much as I love this card, I feel like it's not a very good buy currently at this price of $55, which is the post sneak peek price. Now, for everybody out there who's going to shout, Capital G, you're an idiot, the prices are always inflated after the sneak peeks, you'd actually be wrong. In fact, all you have to do is look at Duelist Alliance as evidence. Duelist Alliance was the trendsetter in the opposite direction, because if you remember, just a couple of sets ago, cards like Dante and Deneb tripled in price after the sneak peeks. You know, Deneb was a $13 card after the sneak peek, and then Tyrone Tinsley went out and won a ARG event, and the card shot up to like $40 overnight. Same thing can be said about Dante. That was kind of a more gradual incline, but Dante was a card that was about 30 bucks, and then Burning Abyss were a lot better than everybody expected. Card jumped to 60. New challengers came out, they got Fire Late, they started being the best deck, and holy crap, the card jumped to like $90 and everybody kind of lost their shit. But I don't think that that's gonna happen with Ghost, Ogre, Snow Rabbit. In fact, I feel like this card's inflation is not necessarily because of how good the card is. I think it's because of how weak the set actually is. I feel like Ghost, Ogre, and Snow Rabbit is more or less a big fish in a small pond. Don't get me wrong, this is probably a top 3 card in this entire set, and usually you'd say, well, Cap, if it's a top 3 card, then shouldn't it be worth damn near $60? And see, I don't necessarily think so. When I think of cards that warrant that price of, damn near $60 or close to, 80 bucks and stuff like that, I think of cards that either completely define metas, your tour guides from the underworlds, cards that that are released and completely make one mechanic viable, or I think of cards that are pretty much staples in decks that will dominate the game, your Necros of Brio or your Valkyris initially for Necros. I mean, Necros came out and they were just wrecking things, and you absolutely had to have 3 Brios. You had to have at least a couple of Valkyrises to play the deck at its maximum potential. Yuki Usagi is definitely the evolution of hand traps. No one is going to dispute that. In fact, I love the fact that you can activate the effect on field. It actually reminds me of Artifact Lancey. I think this was probably the first time Konami said, all right, hand traps are good, but we need to make them a little better. Yuki Usagi is a tuner, and speaking of that, to be honest, it's a damn shame that this card is not Earth, because if you could teleport it out and go into like Naturia Beast, oh my god, how sick would that be? In something like Madoche, you could drop a Naturia Beast turn 1 consistently against, maybe like a Necros player and just kind of auto win, but then also have, maybe a card that you can use against Colossalis or Gungnir at the same time. But that's just completely wishful thinking. Now, I know some of you guys might be thinking, well, this card could catch on and it could get, massively inflated. It can end up being $100, so maybe we should pick them up now. That did happen with Max C, but the reason I don't think that's going to happen, I don't think the situations are the same. Let me just say that. The difference is when Maxi came out in Storm of Ragnarok, it's actually somewhat comparable because they were both secret rare, Maxi and Yuki Usagi. But the difference is when Storm of Ragnarok and Maxi came out, the only definite hand trap that we had in the game that usually broke up your opponent's plays, that saw massive amounts of play, was pretty much Effect Veiler. I mean, maybe you can make an argument for DD Crow. I wouldn't consider Gores in that category because Gores doesn't really break up your opponent's play. It just kind of stops you from losing. Effect Veiler, your opponent might want to do something, you're just like, Effect Veiler, no, you can't do it. Gores doesn't really like work like that. But now in the year 2015, everybody and their mama knows how good hand traps are. It's not like this card is going to sneak up on us and shock anybody by how good it is. Maxi did that. Maxi was like, whoa, this card is way better than, anybody could have ever envisioned. This card's not going to do that. And I feel like this set, it doesn't have as many chase cards, even as a set like Secrets of Eternity has. And that's what's kind of inflating the price of this card. Like if you look at Secrets of Eternity and you compare it to CROS, Secrets of Eternity had a lot of cards that you definitely had to pick up for your tier 1 established decks. I'll give you some examples. Like, If you were playing Tellarknights or you were playing Cleafort, you just had to go out and get yourself a diamond. You had to go out and get yourself a monolith so that you could make your deck even more consistent. Didn't Stealth come out in Secrets of Eternity? It may have came out in New Challengers, but I know Monolith definitely did come out in Secrets of Eternity. Those are cards that you had to get. This set doesn't necessarily have that. Like, you have Anna Lilith for Shadows, but there's no definitive Necros card that you have to get in this set. You know, you don't actually have to get the Planet Tellarknight to continue running Tellarknights as a tier 1 deck. There's no Klee card in this set that you have to get. The Burning Abyss support is good. It's interesting. It lets you run the deck in new ways, but you can definitely still play the deck to a high, you can still play the deck at a high level without getting it. And I'd actually say if you compared the specific, like the art types of the sets, I'd even say that Secrets of Eternity had a more attractive art type. The art type I'm talking about obviously is Infernoids versus the Zephyra of Secrets of Eternity. The Zephyra are cool, but I mean, most people consider Infernoids just much more fun to play. So I feel like since there aren't as many great chase cards and cross souls, it's kind of inflating the price of the few chase cards that they have. That's the reason that Galaxy Cyclone is a $30 card, despite some people saying that it isn't as good as Night Beam. I dispute that, but whatever. So this is a card that, while definitely good and definitely amazing, and I could definitely see this card probably filling kind of that void between Maxi and Effect Veiler as the third definitive hand trap that people may want to side or even main deck, because once again, it is a tuner, so it does have other applications. It being psychic means you can teleport it. I think that the price is definitely going to go down, even though it's a secret rare. I think this card is probably going to settle maybe around $25. So I feel like if you go ahead and pick it up, I just don't think that there's any way that you're going to make money off of it. I think that you're just going to end up losing money because there are a lot of decks that aren't going to be running this card. If Cleafort were still at full power, don't get me wrong, I would say that this card is worth every single penny because, again, it's the best turn 1 answer to a scout, and there are a lot of good cards that this can counter. Maybe if Chicken Race like FTK becomes a really good deck in the TCG, because this card serves kind of the same purpose as Effect Veiler. You know, your opponent summons that Royal Magic Library and you just use Yuki Usagi, you blow it up, and you just kind of win at that point, don't you? So let me know what you guys think. The card is definitely good, but you know, I'll probably just try and wait to see if it's about $20 to $30, something like that. Thank you guys for watching, as always. Subscribing makes life happy.